What's going on, Sens fans? Welcome back to another post-game coverage. And that was a pretty fun intro. It's pretty new. We had to change some things up. So huge shout out to Riley. Try the editor on Twitter. But yeah, that was tonight was a good game against Vancouver. We playing spoiler still. Vancouver's trying to get in. We're on the outside looking in by quite far.
Yeah.
But it's fun playing spoiler.
It is, and these games have been fun to watch ever since they started to kind of turn it around a little bit. You know, they figure out what their ideal lineup is, I guess. But I'm really happy with the way this team's played pretty much since like the middle of February, and it's just gotten better since post deadline. That intro was pretty good. It was caught me off guard a little bit, but I liked it. The Sens are now 12-1-1 when leading after 2, which is a great stat and a crazy stat too when you think about it. So it's fun to watch, and I mean, DJ Smith he's gotten in, like, these players play for him and it works.
Yeah, and like these guys are all just buying into the system. And Jordan and I talked about this on the podcast tonight that's coming out tomorrow. But like, we don't need the super skilled guys to play the depth. We have people that buy into the system and play the game that they're supposed to. So like, yes, Ryan Dzingel has been playing very good since he got here, but that's because he's playing with the system. He's not just being flashy or anything. He's just a mediocre guy that works in this system.
Yeah. I think the depth on the forwards especially it's been honestly not great all year, but that's kind of like we were comfortable with that. I think the defense has been figured out now. But when it wasn't figured out, that was the forwards were still pretty fun to watch. But now they've inserted a bunch of new guys. Like Formanton looks fantastic all the time. Dadonov's played a lot better recently too. Like, he's more noticeable and not as frustrating to watch. Stützle's strung a couple nice games together. He just can't buy a goal, it seems, eh?
I thought that he scored, and obviously he did too.
So did Gord Miller. Gord Miller on the call, he thought he scored.
Yeah,
he said Stützle scores. It was exciting.
It was a fantastic save by Braden Holtby, but like 9 times out of 10, that's going in, and Stützle just put his arms up in the air and started celebrating. But as soon as I saw the ref say no goal, I was like, oh, it must have been offside or like the goalie interference or something. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it just didn't go in.
Yeah, Holtby made a couple, like 3 or 4 just highlight reel saves, you know. And not that Hogberg got outplayed, because in that third period he looked pretty solid too. But, you know, Holtby definitely kept this from being a game that was out of hand for the Canucks.
Yeah, and before we get too into things, I just wanted to mention this. Should have been 3-1. I strongly agree. That's a very controversial topic, but I strongly agree. I think that situation would be the same as if he was pushed into the goalie. He didn't have anywhere to go, and he was angled, and he didn't change his direction to the net, and Holtby was out of the crease. It wasn't very much at all. Like, Thomas Chabot didn't go in the crease at all, but hit Braden Holtby.
It's one of those I thought I knew it should have been called back, just because, he was angled, but he wasn't strictly pushed. If Chabot had fallen, then I think they would have called it. But he wasn't like pushed in. He could have stopped, is I think the thing, right? Like, he skated through the blue paint regardless. He was trying to go through the blue paint. I wasn't too upset about it, because I think they scored like 5 minutes later. They just kind of got right back on there with Norris, a nice goal. So I wasn't too upset about it, but that play in the first place by Chabot was just elite, wasn't it?
World Juniors.
Yeah, right? It's the same thing. He just comes off the point and just dances around the winger. Like, he was, especially in the first period, he looked like the Chabot that we all know. And funny enough, he only played 25, just under 26 minutes tonight. So not as heavy of a workload for him tonight, which is good.
Yeah, and it's really good to see that DJ's playing all of the defensemen now.
Yeah.
So Thomas Chabot led the way with just under 16, and Victor Mete was least amount played with just under 17 minutes.
Yep.
So there weren't a lot of special teams in this. There were a few power plays, but for the most part, it was 5-on-5 for most of the game. So that really helps with the deployment of our team and evenly. But still, props to DJ for not playing all just Shabbat.
I thought Zub looked so good too. Him and Brandstrom stole the show back there for me. They were so like, especially in that second period, they had those shifts where they just dominated. It was crazy, wasn't it? I was really happy with that. And I think it was one of Brandstrom's best games of the season so far, or of his career, I guess.
Absolutely. And just to add on to that a little bit, I saw something yesterday that really blew my mind. Tonight was Brandstrom's 56th game. That's it.
Yeah, it seems like he's played a lot more, right? But
like, I feel like he's played a whole season already, and like, obviously he hasn't and everything, but it just feels like he's been on this team for a while.
Yeah. Cool thing I think is that Brandstrom. I saw it was Nick Robinson who put it out. It was the other night, maybe on Saturday. He has struggled a little bit in that game, but when Thomas Chabot was 21 years old, it was that. I think it was the 2017-2018 season when everything was falling apart. Remember the beginning of the year, like we were all like, "Oh, Chabot's got to get in the lineup. He's got to do that." I remember doing that at least, and Boucher finally played him because he didn't really have people left. Like Phaneuf was gone, and finally started to play him. And they've played roughly the same amount of games at this point in their careers. That's a much more positive way to look at it, I think, because Brandstrom's just going to continue to get confidence and get that eliteness. And, he showed it a lot tonight. Just the way he snaps the puck around up top on the point, it's so great.
Well, yeah, and it might not have been Nick Robinson that posted the rest of this, but there was the advanced analytics graphs that were in a post as well from
that was him, I think.
And like Brandstrom on paper has been better, at least defensively, and quite competitive to Chabot's 21-year-old season offensively as well. So to the people that are always worried about Brandstrom, just wait. I know there might be a worry with Brandstrom might be the odd man out when it comes to our left side because we have Sanderson and Chabot to lead the way there. But anything can happen right now. Sanderson has played on the right side. Brandstrom has played on the right side.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. So
I'm just, it's nice to see the progression. And I think next season is going to be big for Brandstrom, especially. Like he'll just continue to get more minutes and more trust, I think, with DJ, if hopefully he stays healthy and everything, but him and Zub just look so good together. And it's nice that Zub is, an RFA, so he's probably coming back. That's the encouraging part.
Yeah, and I don't know if there was any truth to this, but I've been seeing rumors that Zub wants around 5 by $3.5 million. I would be more than happy to give him that.
And people are pointing out Zaitsev, right? Because when he was in Toronto, it was the same situation. Like he played, and then he got that long-term deal. And look at him now. Not that he's been terrible at all this year. He's actually been pretty great. But they were saying that Zub is the same situation. I don't agree with that because Zub is just so good with the puck, whereas Zaitsev never really was. And second, the other reason I don't is because even if he's not a top 4 defenseman in the next few years, like he is now, and a $3.5 million for a top 4 defenseman is a steal, an absolute steal. So, that's probably, that makes sense. That's where I saw it. It's similar. Yeah, that's probably the closest standard you can think. I'm not, also 5 years isn't 7 years, right? Like it's a big difference, I think.
And 3.5 isn't 4.5.
No. And I'm looking at guys like Connor Brown, Nick Paul, or not even Nick Paul, but Brown and Tierney make around the same as that. Brown's completely different, right? But that's a bargain of a price, I think, for the way Zub's played.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zub has just, and even offensively, like I think advanced stats back me up on this, but offensively, Zub hasn't been on the score sheet. But like if there were like, I don't know, 3rd and 4th assists, I would bet you Zub has an assist on almost every goal that he's been on the ice for.
Yeah, if you got assists for like, clean exits or something like that, like he's always there when it's under control, it seems.
Yeah, he's never one of the last three to touch the puck before a goal, but
No.
he's always the one to get them that puck. Like he's just such an impact offensively, and it really showed it with that like 2.5 minute, 3 minute time that we were stuck in. Well, not we weren't stuck, but Vancouver was stuck in their own zone.
Yeah.
Zub made so many great plays at the point just to keep the puck in or to make the play to the right guy, and eventually it led to a goal.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, like, think of Mike Riley. Like he's doing pretty well in Boston, I think, but he wasn't good. He wasn't good here. He was just, made a lot of mistakes. He was kind of like a poor man's Thomas Chabot, it felt like.
Yeah.
And then he gets paired with Zub. He finds stability, and now look at him, like he's a completely different player. Not that Brandstrom was bad before, but it's kind of the same vibe. I feel like he's once you find, I think for a defenseman more than forwards, if you find a common partner, which is I think Zaitsev and Chabot, it's the same thing. If you find a common partner like that, it goes miles, like that you can't even describe. Like this, the comfort you have, you're getting that chemistry developed. So yeah, nothing but positives from Zub.
Well, that's the thing, and like I really hope a lot of Toronto fans are watching this, so I can trigger them all. But like a lot of people say that Toronto won the Zaitsev deal or the Connor Brown Zaitsev CC deal because they got rid of CC's contract. Mark Mathot was never a great defenseman. He was great in Ottawa with Erik Karlsson, and like Zaitsev is the same kind of thing with Chabot. Like, no, Zaitsev isn't a fantastic defenseman, but him and Chabot just play the complete exact game with each other, and it works. And I would pay Mark Mathot $4.5 million to play with Erik Karlsson the way we saw.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, stability is big. And obviously we want to see Bernard Docker in, but Josh Brown has not been bad. He looks really solid, I think. He played 17 quiet minutes tonight. I should say, I don't think Vancouver had it. Like, this could have been a blowout. If Holtby wasn't there, they were not. This is their first road game since COVID, so they weren't really prepared. And the Sens took advantage of it, which is the nice part.
Yeah, it's like the Sens, and that's it. They've been taking advantage of everything lately.
Yeah.
And so one thing I do want to ask you before we get into the rest of the game. If this is an 82-game season, this is game 49. Are we making the playoffs?
I think if it's in the North Division, yeah, just based on the trends of the other teams.
Yep.
I saw something. It was like it was about DJ's next win. So tonight would put them at like the same points percentage as the Habs under Ducharme or something like that.
Yeah.
So like the points percentage and like the start mattered so much in this season.
Yeah.
I do think if there was an 82-game season, the way they're trending, absolutely.
Yeah.
But then again, the trade deadline wouldn't have been at this point. It would have been later. So you don't move out those other big bodies like Coburn and Goodbranson.
Yeah.
So it's tough to say, I think. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing to say that they couldn't make it if it went another 10, 20 games.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. If there was another 32 games in the season, 33, I guess, then yes, we could make the playoffs if there was 32 more games this season.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was an 82-game season from the beginning of the season like you meant. I don't know if we make the playoffs in this division. But yeah, if there's 30 games left, we make this playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. It's fun to watch. Like I said, and I just that shift where Batherson scored, I was just in shock of how much fun it was to watch them just whip it around. Like they look like a completely different team from the start.
Yeah, and well, we didn't even really mention the Josh Norris goal. Like Brady Tkachuk makes the poke check in the defensive zone and skates up the ice. He could have had the breakaway, but he's not the fastest skater. He knows Josh is right there.
Mm-hmm.
So he passes it over to Norris, and Norris just beautiful play and puts it on the left side. Yeah, patience, and then puts it on the left side, which nobody expected, especially Holtby, I'd guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we've seen him go that top glove side so many times in the last 3 weeks, I guess. These 3 weeks especially.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he goes blocker side, and it works. So putting them home.
Yeah, I like. I love Josh Norris. I can't say anything bad about him. They did a nice first intermission. It was timely, I guess, right after his goal. But it was the I think it was Garriock and Cheryl Pounder were doing the yay or nay, and they were saying, is Josh Norris like a potential number one center? And going into this year, he wouldn't have said that, but coming out of it, I think we can absolutely think that the way he's progressing, he can absolutely be a number one center. Like that top line is, obviously the Canucks are missing Pettersson, but they were the best line all night. So that's cool to see.
Yeah, and this is a great way to put it. Norris has great vision. It's 100%. Norris can see the ice at a way many people can't, and just like I feel like Norris, even if he's surrounded by Vancouver players, he's just so open. Like he makes so much room out of nothing, and that's pretty much what you need to be a successful NHL player.
And Stützle does the same kind of things. He made a lot of little plays tonight where I'm like, wow, that's elite stuff. And you got to hope that at some point Stützle will find those line mates that'll he'll get chemistry with. And I think Pinto is a good candidate for that. White, Dadonov, and Stützle look great, to be honest. It was a line I kind of wanted to see early on, right? If they were going to have Norris, Batherson, and Tkachuk together. So yeah, that's it feels like not much to talk about, but it was just pretty much dominant from the Sens from the start, which is awesome.
Yeah, like the first 6 or 7 minutes was a pretty sloppy game, but then it just out of nowhere, Ottawa just dominated until the last 70, 80 seconds of the game. Vancouver did a great job with their empty net. But Ottawa just dominated this game. You're right. So yeah, I guess we can. Oh, also, I wanted to mention Marcus Hogberg. He played a fantastic game tonight. I don't know if it's the new goalie coach that's changed something in the goalie locker room, because something's changed since we got this coach.
I know. I think a fresh perspective just helps, and you want to impress the new goalie, all the above. So he looked great. Probably definitely his best game of the season. I think he's had a couple solid ones, but they lost. But this was definitely up there. And he just kind of, took over or took over in the late third by Holtby didn't really outplay him, which is kind of weird to say because Holtby kept his team in the game. Hogberg made some nice saves. He was scrambling a lot, and it's positive. Like you can't have too many goalies.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Artem Anisimov goes to show us that.
That was funny.
Yeah,
that really would have been something to see. I think that's the biggest thing about this team is like they're having fun. Like they lost the game, and it's like they come back in the room and Anisimov's dressed as a goalie. Like they all have a kick out of it, and it blows up on Twitter. That's just the best, I think.
Yeah, and I also said this on the podcast for tomorrow, but like I wouldn't be upset if we lost that game 11-1 and Artem Anisimov was in nets. Just have the fun. Right.
Yeah. It's and that's why this team is so fun, and that's why next season is so exciting because they've got this chemistry, and it's not out of the question that they should make the playoffs next season, just based on the way that they're playing right now. Like we've seen it, we can see them do it, and so we'll see moving forward. Yeah, and then just one more thing about Hogberg, that the goal line stop. It great on him for turning around and checking. He just squeaked through, and it wasn't that close in terms of having to go review it and everything, but it was a really close call. I mean, it was slowing down, but that was cool because it squeaked through him, and that was going to be a weak one that he let in, but that was a nice reaction. That's like the scrambling, right? That he didn't really have at the beginning. Yeah. So we can get into our 3 stars now if you want to go ahead. All right. There's a lot of candidates, actually. There's a lot. I'm going to go with Hogberg for my third. Yep. I just think, we just touched on everything. I'll go Brady Tkachuk for the second one. He was, only 1 shot tonight, but 2 assists. And they were, the first one was just not a super nice pass, but it was a great play. And then the second one was just beautiful, right to Batherson at the end of that big shift where they got the line change. That was awesome. And he's bringing that other element of his game, right? And he's now leading the team in points, I think by 1, but it's good to see from the future captain of this team. Like, he will be handed the C with a contract extension. I have no doubt.
Yeah. Even if it's 1 year.
Yeah. It could be one. It could be half a season if they could do that, and they would give him the C, I think. And then my first star, I'm gonna go with Brandstrom, just because it was his. Like, I want to say Zub too, but I'll do that pairing. They were so great together in the defensive zone. Just pucks were out quick. Good. You can hear them. The best part about no fans is you can hear the players communicating.
Yep.
A lot more clearly. And Brandstrom and Zub are very. I think of any of the players or like any of the forward lines and defensive pairings, they're the ones who talk the most, and I like that. It's important. So the way they were clicking, I mean, they were -1 tonight, but they were good, I thought.
Yeah, they definitely played a good game. So yeah, I'll give my 3 stars. First off, I will say Braden Holtby is the first star of this game, 100%.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
But for my Senators, 3 stars, I'll go Thomas Chabot with my 3rd star. He needed a good bounce back game, and he had it.
That's another one.
And yeah, he just brought everything tonight.
Yep.
For my 2nd star, I'll go Marcus Hogberg. Like you said, he just kept us in this game. We wouldn't. Obviously we played a great game, but yeah, he was a big part of the success.
Mm-hmm.
And my 1st star, I'll go Zub. He just blew my mind today.
Yeah.
And yeah, nothing really else to say because he doesn't do anything spectacular. He just does everything right.
He makes a couple of plays where he hangs on to it, and he's really patient, I think, is his best quality. He's great. I love the way he has just – I think they said he was scratched the first 8 games, and he's been in the lineup ever since. That's pretty cool, right? And you got to be doing something right to do that. So and he's young, too. He's not like 30 years old. He's 25, which is exciting.
Yeah, and like for somebody that we didn't know existed until the beginning of February, he's really taken this team by storm.
Absolutely.
So this might be a hard one, but who needs to be better?
That is a hard one. God. Sorry, I'm taking my time.
I'll start off and go.
Yeah,
Chris
go
Tierney.
for it.
Chris Tierney, 25% in the faceoffs tonight, which we
didn't
didn't even
look
mention.
At faceoffs. Oh yeah, rough night.
Yeah,
Vancouver is a good faceoff team though. We didn't do the post game last game, but man, the faceoffs were rough.
Yeah, I think at one point it was like 23-6 or 7.
Yeah, it was. They were at 25% as a team. It was brutal.
Yeah, but yeah, Chris Tierney, he terrible in the faceoff tonight. And there was one play in particular that I am thinking that he needs to be better. And it was in the 3rd period, and he was skating down the right side. And he had all the time in the world. And I think it was Tyler Myers. It might have been Nate Schmidt or something. They just laid down. And Chris Tierney just passed it, hit the ribs, laying down.
That's where you got to take a shot.
He had the open shot. He had about 10 seconds to do it, which is just like he had so much time.
Yeah. And
he just put it right on the Canucks player that was just laying down. Didn't try and flip it over. Nothing. And that is what we can't have on this team. That is why this team struggled so much, is because they go out there and they see that and they're like, oh yeah, okay, we're not this kind of team.
Yeah, I have no doubt that someone's gonna push him out of a spot next season. It'll probably be Pinto. He did. I was gonna say him, but he kind of made up for it with that. When he burned Quinn Hughes, which was weird.
Yeah,
that would have been cool if he scored that. But I'll go with him, I guess, because I think everyone else was pretty solid.
Yeah, it's a tough game to pick somebody because even Pinto, like, he played good. He just didn't play excellent, I guess.
No, yeah, he had a couple nice plays. Didn't have a ton of ice time.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's not a huge deal, I don't think. Tierney had 18 minutes, maybe a little bit much for him, but he was okay. He just made a couple mistakes, and that's the only criteria, I guess, in a game like that. Everyone played so well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I guess that's all the time we have for tonight. So I really appreciate everybody coming to watch. Make sure you tune in on Wednesday for the last game against Vancouver. It should be fun. A lot of blood boiling in the last few games. So we didn't even mention Ryan Dzingel fighting. That was him right after Eric Brandstrom just blows my mind. But yeah, we'll see if who's gonna fight. Alex Formanton's gonna fight next game.
Right. I mean, he's like a guy who mixes it up a lot. I feel like Stutzel would be the crazier one.
Yeah,
Or
Stutzel
like
or
Zub
Pinto or
someone.
something.
Yeah, someone who doesn't like throw a bunch of hits. That'd be cool.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, thanks.